Hello, hi. I just finished a test that I was woefully unprepared for, but it's done, it's fine. It's the first test of the semester. It's always a little wonky. I'm done that now. It's almost 11 and I wanted to start a vlog because this week is going to be quite an intense week. If you don't know, I'm currently working on a number of projects. So many projects. However, I haven't actually started any of them yet because I've been rereading the very first book that I wrote, which is called The Folk. It is an adult fantasy set in a world that's vaguely inspired by World War I. And I'm reading through it, I'm editing it, and I'm doing that with the purpose of starting to work on the second book in the series. So I really can't start to work on the second book in the series until I'm done reading through this first book, and it is taking so much longer than I intended. So I am dedicating all of my writing time to completing this read through this week. We'll see if that happens. I've been reading it all month and I'm only on page 146 of 537 pages. It's a very chunky book. It's a hefty boy. I love it. I am cutting quite a bit, but I'm not actually cutting that much. It's still probably gonna be a longer fantasy book and I'm okay with that. And so I think this week, before I start working on any other project, I just wanna get this off my plate because it's just taking so much longer than I wanted. So a lot of writing this week is going to just be reading and rereading and editing and cutting and adding more, and it's really fun. I love this work so much. It's quite easy when you have a complete story to shift things around and clarify things. It's so much easier than a blank page. But I'm looking forward to my other projects and I really want to get started on them. So I'm hoping this week I can finish. And basically anytime that I'm not in class, getting prepared for class or the tests or the assignments that I have this week, or relaxing because it's the end of the day, I'm going to be reading this book. I love it. I love this world so very much, and I think rereading this is also helping me fall back in love with the process of writing a little bit more, and it's reminding me of all of the things that I was feeling while I was writing this book, and it's just so magical. It's so, so magical. I'm gonna stop talking. I have about 40 minutes to an hour. I'm actually not entirely sure the exact start time of my next class. I kind of just like have been vibing this whole time and just like logging in when I think it's about to start, and I haven't been wrong yet. I think I have about 40 minutes to an hour until my next class, and I am going to sit here and read and hopefully get through a few chapters. We shall see. I'll probably only get through one. So wherever you are, get cozy and let's get into a week of writing and living life and being in school. If you don't know, I'm currently in school studying to be a library technician, and I'm almost done, and soon I will have to start job searching. So very exciting times in the life of Megan right now. Okay, let's get into it. Coffee's cold. Coffee is very cold. I just poured it. Why is it so cold?
Why do we dance in the moonlight? Must be a reason why. Why don't we make love in the daytime? Must be a reason why. I discovered a box full of Polaroid pictures. Colors were faded, man, I miss them. Ain't no place that I would rather be. Why do we dance in the moonlight? Must be a reason why. Why don't we make love in the daytime? Must be a reason why. The memories were pure as the laughs over dinner. When memories fade, you soon replace them. What has changed?
Hi, I got a haircut. It is the end of the day. It's around 5, it's 5:45 actually, and I'm just about to put on dinner and curl up and read. I got through a lot today editing wise. I mean, it's very slow going. It's a long process, and I got to over 200 pages. I think I'm at like 204, maybe 206, and it's a lot of work. It's taking a lot of time because it's very intense, focused reading. I have to say that there is nothing better than rereading your own work and loving it. I love this book so much. I'm sharing so much on my Instagram and I really need to stop, but I'm just so excited for it. And I just think that keeping that in mind is motivating, because there is nothing better than being proud of something that you've done and something that you've created. And that's how I feel about this story. I feel like I really did carve a piece of my heart and soul into this story, and I cannot wait to keep going with it. And I feel like that's why I do it. That's why I do it. I love creating these little stories, and so this is just a great reminder of it, and I can't wait to pick back up tomorrow. I'm gonna wake up super early. I'm gonna keep reading. I'm gonna keep editing, and that means I have like 280 pages left. I'm not sure what the total amount of the manuscript is, but I think I can do it. I just have to spend a lot of my days reading. But speaking of reading, let's talk about books, and let's talk about what I'm reading, because I'm reading two very different books, two books on the opposite end of the spectrum. The first one is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, and I have to say, I'm like 100 pages into this book. I'm loving it. The writing is gorgeous. The themes are speaking to me in a way that I just was not anticipating. I love the voice of the narrator. It's very long-winded. The first 50 pages were spent fixating on a single character, learning everything about this character. And I had a moment where I was like, who is this character? Because I know the story, I know the musical, and it is a character that interacts with the main character, Jean Valjean, once, and then is never heard from again, at least in the musical. And so I was like, it was really startling to be like, we're spending 50 pages on this single guy. This is a sweeping story that is really all about redemption, and it's set during a specific part of the French Revolution. And we follow a character by the name of Jean Valjean, who is imprisoned for stealing a loaf of bread, comes out of prison and is offered redemption, and we follow his actions throughout his life, and there's a bunch of other characters involved. I am surprisingly loving it more than I was expecting. Usually with classics, there's a little bit of a curve getting used to the writing, and with this one, it feels very Tolstoyan to me, where it's just very readable, and find that when I sit down to read my 22 pages every single day, I get swept away. And it could be because the writing is great, but it also could be because the themes really speak to me. There are so many passages about our place in society and how we treat members of society and how the rich treat the poor, and I'm just like, preach all the time. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm only on page 98, so I'm gonna curl up now and I'm gonna get to page 120 because I'm reading 22 pages a day. And now for the other book that I'm reading. I kind of can't believe that I'm about to admit this on the internet. I barely want to admit it to myself that I'm reading this, but I'm reading this book because like 3 of my friends have told me in the past 2 weeks about this book. And one of my friends just read it. She loved it so much, and she was like, I need someone to read this book so we can talk about it. I love it so much is a strong word. I don't think that she necessarily loved it, but she needed someone to talk about it with. And the book that I'm talking about is Harry Potter fanfiction. It's a book by the name of Manacled. Manacled, I think that's how you pronounce it. To me, that is a very, very weird word, manacled. It is uncomfortable to say. I don't like it. It took me a really long time to learn how to pronounce it. I don't even know if I'm doing it correctly, but manacled is just weird. I don't know why I don't like it. That's the book that I'm reading, and if you don't know anything about it, it is Harry Potter fan fiction. It is free on the internet. It is incredibly long. It's like 950 pages on my Kobo. It's like 370,000 words. I have never read fan fiction. I don't write it. I know nothing about that world, but I've never been interested in it. It's never been something that I've wanted to write or read. And this book is essentially set in a timeline wherein Voldemort wins
everybody's dead except for Hermione, and Hermione is put into this forced breeding program that is pretty much exactly like The Handmaid's Tale, if you know that story. And she is put under the charge of Draco Malfoy. And so it's Draco and Hermione fanfiction. And I just feel ridiculous explaining this. But there's a lot of violence. It's incredibly violent, so do be mindful of the trigger warnings. Not that I'm telling you to read it, but I am just fascinated by it. I really feel like I'm learning so much about the world of fanfiction by reading this. So I am kind of glad that I am expanding my horizons ever more. So that's what I'm doing, is what I'm telling myself. I'm expanding my horizons by reading this Harry Potter fan fiction.
Must be a reason why don't we make love in the daytime? Must be a reason why. Must be a reason why. Must be a reason why. We just turned 23. It was the world versus you and me. We were both head over heels. Yeah, you remember how that feels. We thought we would win somehow. We're laughing at that now. The day it all fell apart, it felt like you were holding my hurting heart. We swore we'd try again. That was the beginning of the end. I wanna tell you that I'm different. Oh, that time in love was well spent.
Hello. It's Wednesday afternoon. It is almost 4, I believe, and I am so beat. I feel like my brain is fried between all of the reading I've done this week, all of the studying, the coursework. I just feel like I'm reading so much, and I love reading. I love reading so very much, but it is very tiring. I think pretty much since Sunday, I have been reading like 8 to 12 hours every single day, various things. So I end the evenings with a very tired brain. My test today went okay. I never know how I do. I kind of just try my best and hope for the best. But now I am looking towards the end of the week and I'm feeling really good about it. I just have one more assignment that I have to do for Friday, and that's very easy. I have to edit this video, and I have to continue on in my reading of the folk and my editing of the folk. That's going really well. I'm on page 264 of, I think, 537 pages. And I'm happy to report that I am cutting quite a bit. And that makes me very happy. I managed to cut almost an entire page. I've cut probably close to like 2,000 words. Sometimes I have explained things in a couple places that I feel like maybe I didn't need to explain it again. And things like that. It's just like really, it feels really good to just make this manuscript as tight as possible. It's going to continue to be a really big book. Great to just like be back in the world that I created and be with these characters that I haven't been with for almost 2 years. And I just am so excited to continue writing this series and see where it goes and what happens, because there's so much set up in the first book that I'm excited to tackle all the various directions I can take this story. I want to put some words down. I haven't really actually written beyond editing. I still think I'm going to try to balance multiple projects. I think that that is going to be really fun and good for me creatively. I think being able to bounce between multiple projects when I get stuck will just let all of those creative juices flow, and I feel like that's going to be a good thing. But for now, I am not going to read my Les Mis pages because I am like 80% through this Harry Potter fan fiction and I just want it to be over. I'm not really loving it. I think that there are elements of it that are interesting, but then I think there are elements of it that I don't vibe with. And I think one of those things is that the writing is really repetitive. I can tell that it wasn't really edited, but it's really interesting. I'm having an interesting experience with it because I've never been in the world of fan fiction. I know nothing about it. I never really understood it, but I can understand it a little bit more. And I feel like that is one of my favorite things about reading. And that's why I feel like I read so many different things, because I am just open to like learning about new experiences. Some of the things that I'm kind of taking away from it is, one, I love the idea of like a darker Harry Potter story. I really struggled reading them when I was a kid. I didn't really love them, and that's kind of transpired to my adulthood. I've never really been able to finish the Harry Potter book series, but I love the story. I watch the movies all the time. That might be sacrilegious, but I really don't care, especially after everything that has transpired with J.K. Rowling. I don't feel bad saying that. I love the idea of like a darker Harry Potter world and the exploration of how in wartime there are no good guys. You have to do bad things in war. But I think that's about the only good thing that I can say. In terms of the takeaways that I'm getting from fan fiction, I can see the draw of publishing something every so often, because that's how I think that this was published. At least it reads like it was not published all at once. It definitely feels like it was published in parts, whether that's like every chapter was published separately, or maybe it was like part 1, part 2, part 3. I'm not sure. There's something nice about the serialization of a single story that I think is fascinating. However, I'm really stretching to find like good things to say about it. It's fine, and I'm having a fine experience with it, but I am ready for it to be over.
What is better than love? Better than fun? What's better than this? And what is better than sunshine? Better than daisies? What's better than this? Well, you think real love is writing a love note. You think real love was dancing in the rain. Don't you see, you classic idiot, wishing that all this sweet sad love.
It's kind of hard to focus when there's murder happening. Are you killing your monkey? Is there murder? Is this actually murder? Oh my gosh, the ambulance is coming because there's murder happening. They're gonna arrest you. They're gonna arrest you. Give me that monkey. Give me that monkey. We've had to patch this monkey up so many times. Look at his leg. Give me that monkey. This is his favorite toy. Can I have him? Give me that monkey. He takes it. Oh, okay. Where are you going? Okay, bye. You gonna take him over by the shoes? Okay. Okay. So he's safe there.
Of all the things that used to be, what's better than this?
Hello. Oh, you're falling. You're falling. Hello. Good morning. Oh my gosh. I hope it's focused. I'm having one of those days where, actually one of those weeks where every single time I film myself and then I review the footage, I'm like, gross. It happens. It's fine. It goes away. Anywho, hi. That was dark to start with, but I just finished my first class of the day and I wanted to do a little bit of a check-in. First, I finished the Harry Potter monstrosity, the fan fiction, the tome. The clock is going off now. Let's just sit here in silence together as friends and listen to it. I have no idea what time it is. I should know, I just finished a class. Okay, what was I saying? Oh, I finished the Harry Potter fan fiction, Manacled, I think. Again, that's such an ugly name. I hate that word. It's just, is that a Harry Potter word? I should look that up because I feel like I don't know. I finished it, all 950 pages of it, and I did not love it. I thought it was just fine. I think it was unnecessary to include the Handmaid's Tale element. I don't really understand why that was included. I think that the storyline could have been explored in a completely different way. There was a quarter of it that I really enjoyed, and that was like the third quarter of it. I don't recommend it. I think that if you do, you should definitely read all of the like content and trigger warnings. There is a lot of stuff explored in this book that is very bleak, and it's not for everybody. It's incredibly violent, so protect yourself from a lot of factors, not just the violence. My biggest takeaway, because I'm trying to be a little bit more positive. I don't want to trash this book because that's just not who I am. It's just not who I am. I just don't like trashing things. If I don't like something, I often just don't talk about it online. My biggest takeaway from this is that I did enjoy my introduction into fanfiction. I don't think I will ever read fanfiction again, but I will say that I started this journey saying I don't really understand fanfiction. I don't really understand why people read it or write it, but I'm walking away from this with a little bit more understanding. I kind of get it. I kind of get the want to explore worlds that you love with characters that you love. I also really understand loving something so much that you are inspired by it and that you want to write your own stories or create your own things based off of that. So I feel like that is the positive. I've walked away with more understanding of fan fiction, and I guess that's all I can ask for, and I'm happy that I did it. But now I'm going to read something completely different. I am also making my way through the folk ever more. Every single day I just chip away a little bit more of the story, and so proud of myself. I'm so happy that I wrote this book. I love this story, and I feel like I'm gonna keep saying that because I want you to understand, if you are in the middle of writing your work in progress, that one day you're gonna look back and you're gonna read it and you're gonna be so proud of yourself. And that's what I'm experiencing right now, and it's a great feeling, and it's making me really excited to pick back up next week and continue writing. 268 pages through, and I think I have 536 pages, because that's the other thing that's happening, is I'm cutting quite a bit. Just kind of the excess, the things that I feel like I don't necessarily need to talk about right now. There are some flashback moments that I feel like needed to be cut. And while the intention was certainly not to cut a lot of the story, I'm happy to, because it's really big. It started out as 206,000 words, and now it's almost down to 204, which is great. I'm happy because I will self-publish it, and it's gonna be expensive. So onward, I continue. I have a little bit of a break right now between classes, about an hour, and I've completed an assignment that is due tomorrow. So I don't need to worry about my assignment. All I need to do is sit down and read through more of the folk, which is exactly what I'm gonna do. So let's get into it.
My life is like a theater where she makes her appearance every day. And every day it's the same old play. She's the main character, the heartbreaker, the savior, and the one that got away. So far away, it's so close to me. And it is getting harder to mask these feelings that I harbor for her, 'cause she's just out of reach, even when she's right in front of me. And on the days when she's miles away, I can still see her face. I guess I'm a ghost and she is a dream, the most beautiful thing I've seen. And she's just out of reach. She's just out of reach. She's not too accepting, but I hope to be her one exception someday, but someday seems so far away. Yeah, I'm just in atmosphere, heartbroken, you never know, 'cause you never know I'm here as she basks in our thunderous cheers. When it is getting harder to mask these feelings that I harbor for her, 'cause she's just out of reach, even when she's right in front of me. And on the days when she's miles away, I can still see her face. I guess I'm a ghost and she is a dream, the most beautiful thing I've seen, and she's just out of reach.